Good morning, everybody. Time to get working.
Life's a coat of many colors. It is never black and white.
Now, this picture is coming along rather well, but I want to show you how I'm going to do this path. I don't know where it is. I'm guessing it's probably somewhere like the Lake District, or it could be Scotland. I'm not entirely sure. But we've got these typical gravelly paths that you get here. They're really, they're stony and rocky and I mean, they're lovely looking paths, much better than a bit of tarmac, but you've got all these little weeds and things growing on it as well. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So this is what you can see here is just the blocked in stage. So that is acrylic. That base has been blocked in acrylic, which is what I normally do for the smaller panels anyway, just so that I can get it done quicker, as I'm sure I've mentioned a million times before. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that right now. So I've mixed some colour here, which is titanium white, burnt umber. I've used just a dash of cerulean blue and a dash of dioxine purple. We'll just give that a try first, see how that's... We don't want it too dark. And I'm just using this old splayed brush. It's just a cheap brush that I've bought from a shop. I don't even know if it's not even a make. It just came in a pack of different, variety of brushes. But anyway, it's been, abused somewhat. And it's pretty much useless for everything but this. So just giving it the ground a little bit of texture. I'll say texture. The look of texture, because it's going on smooth. I've mixed it with liquid. Not a massive amount of liquid, just enough to, give it that sort of more of a smoothie washed out look. If smoothie washed out is in fact a phrase. So I'm just, in fact, what I probably need to do is adjust the level of my camera. Ah, there we have it. There you go, folks, now you know what I'm looking at. So just over the whole area like this, even going into the grass a little bit, don't worry about that. That edge I haven't quite finished yet. I just want this to, I'll get the stones done and then I can give that a little bit of work as I go. So I'm adding a little bit more liquid just to make it a bit runny. What tends to happen is, I find, especially with this brush, if I add a bit more liquid, the little blips become a bit larger. When it's dry and you're using paint neat from the tube, you tend to get more of a little bit more of a furry look. It's less sharp, so adding the liquid just makes it that little bit sharper. So I'm just going to go over the whole area in that way. Not obviously worrying too much about going over these little tufty grass areas like here, which have really just been blocked in. And actually they're just to show me where to put them rather than as a decent base to paint over. The colour's not at all accurate. So doing this actually is already giving me the look of a stony path. I think I can't quite see how that's looking. I mean, I've got a little screen here, but that colour-wise, the colours aren't that accurate. So, but it just gives me an idea, so I can frame it. Because obviously, with a GoPro, it's difficult to really frame a picture. So there we go. Pretty much there. And I'll tell you what I am going to do: a little bit more liquid. Just mix up a little bit more colour, but I'm going to go in with a bit more of the cerulean blue there and that dioxine purple, just to give us a slight different dimension in that colour. So there's a real mixture of stones and rocks and things on this path here, but the idea is we want it to look 3D. We want the stones to be looking as if they are sitting on the surface on that ground, at least the bigger ones. Let's see how we get on. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do with that brush there. That's given us something to now work on. What I'll do is I'll put in these smaller stones, because it's as I say, it's a mixture of very small fine stones and larger rocks sitting on the surface, and then you've got those little tufts of grass sitting in between. But actually another thing I might do, I'm not sure yet, is make a little bit more of those tufts of grass, just to give you a bit of contrasting colour, so it doesn't look like it's been block coloured. Right, so there's less, obviously further back you go, less detail you need to put in. So I could probably get away with using a hog brush, and I've messed up I've tailor-made an older hog brush here to work out for me. So just putting in basically highlights here, and it's mainly titanium white, and I'm just mixing it in with the colour I've got there. I've used a little bit of the orange and a little bit of cadmium yellow, but you know, less detail. You don't need to put too much in. In fact, the less, you know, if you've got generally less detail, it's going to look a little bit softer and will look as if it's sitting back a little bit more. Obviously, as you come into the front, you're going to get more detail, more contrast, which is going to help with that sort of 3D appearance. So there's, you know, I'm covering up an awful lot of the darker brown that we put in there, but I will put some variations of colours in once I've done this sort of layer. And I need to also refine the grass edge there as well, which once again, that can be done afterwards. Let's not try and do too much too soon. We are in for the long haul here, really. I think it's a case of being patient when you're painting a sort of more of a photorealistic picture. You're not going to get it all done. Well, I say you're not going to get it all done in one hit. You can do if you're very, very, very careful and patient, but you know, using various layers is, you know, really the way you want to do it if you don't want to spend the rest of your life doing a 12 by 12 inch panel. I probably will get into more hyperreal pictures at a later date, but really I'm just showing you how to do different things as I'm doing it, because all these pictures are pictures that I've been asked to paint. This will be going out to a gallery that's asked for it, and I'm just taking you along for the ride. But I hope to be in a position in not too far in the future where I can paint what I want, just to, you know, show you how to do it. I can cover all sorts of different things then. I can, you know, we can work on totally different landscapes. We can work on seascapes, still life, portraiture, whatever you want. And as the channel grows, it will make it easier for me to do that. So anyway, I'm going to do that now, all the way down here. As the stones come nearer the foreground, these little blips will probably get a little bit bigger, but not too much. They don't need to be too detailed. And then we can put shadows and bigger rocks and all the other little bits in there as we go. So I'm going to zip through this now, and then I shall show you once I've done this level, this layer. Well, I've got the smaller stones in, and now I'm going to place some bigger stones over the top, but I'm going to do those a little bit lighter, and then I shall put shadows in the right places once I've done this. But I'm only going to be putting the bigger stones in right, you know, probably from about here down. But when that shadow goes in, they'll really start to look good. Now to add some shading to some of those stones and the rocks on the path there. So I'm using burnt umber, and I think I'm going to use, because I want it to flow well, and I'll use a bit of liquid as well, but I'm going to use mainly white spirit in that, because it does help it to flow a little bit better. Now that's too dark, that's much too dark, so just lighten it a bit. And you can go ahead and lighten that with white, because it doesn't need to have any transparency at all. Let's see if that's okay. I suspect it's a little bit dark. It's not too bad. Yeah, maybe it's a bit dark, actually. A bit more white spirit. There you go, look at that. Right. So just picking out the odd one, just a little, all you need is a little line just underneath. A little bit on these, you know, pick out the odd smaller little stone in there, but you do want a shadow under those bigger ones. Make sure you put a shadow under all of those if you can. And some of them are actually, the shadows are quite dark. Right, so that started to look a little bit more like the photograph. What I'm going to do now is add some of these, well, I'm going to work on the edge here where the grass meets the path, and also put in some more tufty, sort of worn out bits of grass running down the middle of the path there. So, and I'm just sort of recycling the paint that I've already used. So I've used this lighter green here, I'm just adding some of that, a bit of that sap green there. Let's see how near we are to. That's pretty much it. Maybe a little bit of that, a bit of that, and a bit of that. So using the same hog that I used for the stones, just putting in little tufts. And we'll add details to it once I've done this. The photograph, where you've got those tufts, you've also got slight sort of shadows, or sort of darker areas just at the bottom, like we did with the stones, just underneath. That's the sort of thing we need. Okay, so let's go over that now with a few highlights. Now, there's a couple of different ways we can do this. We can either use this hog brush, or we can use the fan brush. I think I'm going to try the hog brush first, because we're going to get smaller areas of highlights, and if that doesn't pan out, then I shall move on to the fan brush. But let's see how we get on. So now that can do with being a fair bit lighter than the greens that we've put on. You're probably looking more like this sort of green here, but I believe it's probably a bit warmer than that, so I'll add a bit of orange as well. Let's get mixing. We'll add a bit. Well, I might have just gone a bit mental on that, overboard. Let's give that a go. Start over here. And here I'm just looking to do the top, so you still leave that shadow area at the bottom of the clump of grass. It's funny here because you've got like an area and you've got quite a hard edge. It's almost like, I don't know, sort of like an earthy area underneath. I'm talking rubbish. Just ignore me everybody. Talking rubbish. It's sort of working. But I am starting to think I'm going to give the fan brush a go as well, and we'll see which one works the best. This may well be the winner. I don't know. Let's give it a go. It's all trial and error. You don't know until you try. I guess the thing is really, don't worry too much about it. I mean, the photograph, these tufts here are sort of a bit more interspersed. They're not as dense as I'm doing them, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Got to get this picture finished after all. Can't spend weeks on it. It's only a 12 by 12. Good. Pleased with that. Now that is finished. I'm going to, what do I do now? Do I work on this grass or the wall? I guess we'll do the wall.
Can't have one without the other. The dark without the light. In the summer we were lovers. With the flame our hearts would burn.